We are officially in eclipse season, which means buckle your seatbelts, my friends, because we are in for a bumpy ride with this week's astrology. Hi, my name is Haley Comet, and welcome to Just the Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of March 18th to March 24th, 2024, where we are breaking down, just as we do every single week here in my cosmic corner of the internet with the cosmic beverage in hand, what is ahead for your week ahead, how you can navigate and thrive with this week's astrology and every week's astrology, moving in synchrony with the cosmos rather than fighting against it. Because one thing's for sure, when we are in eclipse season, these cosmic currents are a little too strong to swim against. We are entering a time of year that is about fated initiations, karmic endings, things coming to the surface, being revealed, events transpiring that were destined. But just because something is destined does not make it necessarily easy to bear. And it does feel like a lot of us are being asked to make some pretty challenging decisions right now, particularly as it relates to your relationships, your partnerships, and your one-to-one connections. We see this with this week's Venus conjoining Saturn, which is significant because we're building to the Libra lunar eclipse on Monday, exacts at midnight on Monday. So really we're feeling it Sunday onward. But when it comes to that Libra lunar eclipse that we are building to, it is answering to Venus, who is aligned with Saturn. Yes, Venus is also sextile Jupiter this week, so it's not that you need to hide or run away from this astrology. But with Venus aligned with Saturn being the ruler of a lunar eclipse on the South Node, it just feels like a lot of us are having to make some really challenging decisions around certain cycles or even certain relationships that we are letting go of. Because while Venus-Saturn can be this energy of sometimes scarcity or not feeling valued or not feeling lovable, and we see echoes of that also with Mercury aligning with Chiron this week, there's this energy around knowing your worth, stepping into this eclipse season, which the sun ingressing into Aries on Tuesday, March 19th is helpful for. The sun is exalted in Aries. It likes to be in Aries, and sun is about ego, identity, life force energy. So sometimes knowing your worth and knowing who it is that you are means enacting boundaries. Sometimes it means saying no. Sometimes it means seeing what somebody is offering you or the dynamic that they're bringing with them into a connection and saying, this is all well and good. And again, we're leaving Pisces season. We have Mars entering Pisces this week. The energy of Pisces can be very empathetic around, well, it's okay that you mistreated me or that this dynamic is going on because I can see your point of view and we're all children of divinity, so who am I to judge you? With the energy of more and more the cosmos going into Aries, it's like, nope. You are not going to treat me like that. And I know my worth. It would be tempting to accept less than I deserve. Maybe it would make me feel less alone, or maybe it would make me feel more valued, but I do not consent to this behavior. There's an energy unfolding with this eclipse season around teaching people how to treat you. Because with the energy of Libra lunar eclipse, there are releases around connections. I don't want anyone to stress. Okay, I'm not saying we're all going through a breakup, nothing of that nature. But when it comes to these releases that are taking place in relationships, it's almost like this energy of purging out the behavior that you no longer consent to receive. It's important as we build to the Libra lunar eclipse on Monday that Libra is a sign that is governed by the scales. So there is this witnessing this week around the worth, the value that we bring to our side of the scale and who's matching and meeting that energy. And it can be so tempting to want to make excuses, or again, with all the Pisces energy, see to someone's soul and be like, well, they didn't mean to, or it was just this one time that they disrespected me, or what have you. This energy really asks us to get real and really see what is being revealed. We are entering a very karmic, very fated, very powerful time of year. And here in Magic Monday, we will chat through what you can expect day by day, how this astrology will affect you and your universe. But before we dive in, for all of this transformative astrology, we're gonna need some caffeine, right? And luckily, you know, with the sun entering Aries, this is the astrological new year. This is a burst of energy within the cosmos, but just in case anybody else relies on their energy from both the fire placements in the cosmos as well as something warm within their cup, I would love to hear, what are you sipping on to start off this week's of astrology? Are you just relying on the sun entering Aries to give you the jolt that you need? Comment below what your beverage of the week is. Mine is just a regular coffee, splash of oat milk, then I put some cinnamon in there. If you know, you know. Sprinkle cinnamon into your coffee if you want to invite in some abundance into your day. It works. Even though we have Venus on Saturn this week, which could have a lot of us feeling very scarce and limited about finances, let's counteract it with some cinnamon in our coffee. And if you're new to Magic Monday, this is a segment on Magic Monday where we gather in the Cosmic Cafe and chit-chat before getting into the overall astrology. Feel free to use the timestamps to jump straight into the astrology. But I want to do a roll call, okay? Roll call. Who else is having their life flipped upside down? Only this much into eclipse season. Say I. Say I. It has been very interesting since my 30th birthday, and just getting closer and closer to these eclipses, everything just gets more and more wild. So I just want to let you know, if you too are going through some major shifts and upheavals, just know that I'm right here along with you. I'm cosmically cheerleading you here in the cosmic corner. And I one day will be able to share what's going on. That will not be for a while. Those of you who watch Magic Monday know that I do share about my journey, what I've learned on it, but the Virgo moon and rising in me typically doesn't do that or share until I have healed, processed, understood, analyzed the situation from 3 different angles. When it's still all very messy and raw, I have a hard time verbalizing it or sharing to it in Magic Monday. And I also just want to ensure that I'm, you know, sharing wisdom and not just in the murkiness around, I don't know what's going on. I'm just here in eclipse season, aka cosmic course correction season, doing the best I can. But I just wanted to share that just in case anybody else is going through something similar. Eclipse season is wild. Please ensure that you are drinking lots of water in addition to your coffee or anything of that nature. We don't have that much earth within the cosmos besides Jupiter and Uranus, so just ensure that you're drinking water, that you're eating, that you're moving your body. It does help, as there is a very passionate but frenetic, impatient vibe in the air. And while eclipse season is a time of fated changes and new timelines beginning and old timelines collapsing, it's important that you do your due diligence around ensuring that you are taking care of your vessel, that you are grounded, that you are learning from this time being, and just knowing that it will not always feel like it does today is important to keep top of mind. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. Okay, so here in Vibe Check of the Week, we essentially take all of the wild astrology that we have this week, from Sun sextile Pluto, the astrological new year beginning, Mercury entering its pre-retrograde shadow, eclipse season beginning, the lead up to the Libra lunar eclipse. We essentially take all of that, blend it all together, and then compare that astrological smoothie to a real life scenario. So that even if you're unfamiliar with the intricacies and nuances of those particular influences, you can compare it to a real life scenario in order to make sense of what may come to the surface navigating your universe. So this week's astrological smoothie of sorts is the following scenario. We will say that you have been recently dating someone. It's very new, but it's gotten to that stage where you are smiling when thinking of them midday. You are rereading their texts. You are hating every notification that flashes on your phone if it's not from this person. You're like, oh brother, not again, oh no. And you have a date scheduled with this individual and you're eagerly anticipating it. You've already got your outfit all dialed in, and the day of the date, you're starting to feel really nervous because they have not called or texted to confirm that you guys are still on for that evening. And you try to settle your nerves by just keeping yourself busy, getting ready, trying not to assume the worst. and a half hour until the two of you are meant to meet up. This person calls you and is like, I'm so sorry, it was so busy, but you know, all of my friends are going out tonight, so I think I'm gonna do that instead, if that's okay. And you hear your heart break on your side. Again, it's very new, but still, when there are some feelings invested, when you are, you know, in your simp era, when you are starting to smile randomly midday, everything feels urgent and raw and intense and either just the highest of blisses or just the saddest of sorrows. And so you're really just feeling this crushing disappointment around, wow, you were not anticipating this the way that I was. It's not equal, our excitement for this event. And the way that you just called me like, oh, I'm going out with my friends, that's not very respectful of my time when we had something already aligned. And they asked if you would be free the following night, and everything within you want to be like, okay, no problem, tomorrow works. But you know, because like I said, the Libra lunar eclipse is making us aware of patterns that we are shedding, and you're thinking about your past relationship, how this was a frequent tendency, and you're thinking about the relationship before that, that this individual would always choose their friends before you. And you are seeing very early into this new connection that pattern emerge. And it hurts you so badly to say, no, I can't. No, I'm not interested. No, thank you. Because this individual has already showed you how it is that they value you. People show you how they value you through their actions. And that's a tough pill to swallow. With Venus Saturn, Saturn is ripping us out of this Venus and Pisces lover girl, lover boy energy and making us get real around, if you really cared about me, especially if you cared about me the way I cared about you, your actions would have aligned differently. And you know what? I've learned this lesson. I have learned this lesson. What's the purpose of dating if I keep doing the same thing over and over? And so this is not what you want to say, but you say, no, thank you, I'm good. And then when they text you again, you just leave them on red, just because you have seen who it is that they are, and you have seen this audition of how they intend to treat you should you continue on into this pattern, and probably have to learn the same lessons that you did from the past couple of relationships. So you consciously have to put those feelings aside and the rereading of the texts and smiling midday. Like, you have to really compartmentalize that and get real and know your worth and inform this person how you will be treated, and inform this person how it is that you will not be treated, which is this sort of behavior. Now, I'm not saying that all of us are, cutting off somebody that we are dating this week. Some of you may be. Like I said, this Libra lunar eclipse, it is a big one around shedding certain patterns within relationships and partnerships. Just a PS, in case you missed it on my channel, I did do a Libra lunar eclipse all signs forecast. Feels good to be back. I've been taking a pause from doing my Friday videos, so it feels really good to be sharing what is coming alive for your chart based on these eclipses. You'll want to check that out to figure out what particular stories building with the Libra lunar eclipse. So some of you could be setting boundaries around someone that you're dating, someone that you're friends with. Some of you could be setting boundaries around a client. Some of you could be firing a client. Honestly, if you own your own business or something of that nature, there's something coming in this week around knowing your worth and standing in your power. And that's hard to do, especially with Mercury Chiron. There could be a script within you that is trying to tell you, no, you have to maintain this client even though they've disrespected you, because who else is going to work with you? Or you have to put up with this behavior from this person that you're dating, because how are you going to get somebody else like them? There's no way. Like with Mercury Chiron, there can be these loops that are playing within that are echoing the parts of us that are the most wounded and traumatized and insecure. But it's important to potentially hear that radio station, but still step into what it would look like to know your worth, to step into your power. And there's a little bit of this week's astrology that's fake it till you make it, though we all know Aries season beginning. Aries is one of the most real, authentic signs there is. But it's almost like stepping into your worth and your power until you feel it. It's like fake it until you feel it. It's real. Sometimes you just have to remember it, especially with Mercury Chiron telling you, what if this is what I deserve? What if this is what I deserve? You have to remember who it is that you are. You have to remember your worth even when it hurts. Because with Venus Saturn, there can be this energy of scarcity in the air, especially around money. Like I said, some of us could be, firing a client or deciding not to go with a certain job or something of that nature. And with Venus Saturn, there could be energy around, but if I don't take this contract, Will I still be able to survive? Will I still be able to make by? When it comes to relationships, some of us can be having certain stories around, but if I release this relationship, who else will love me? Who else will value me? Overall, there could just be stories around what am I worth? And it's hard to inform individuals what you are worth. It's hard to enact boundaries around this is the standard of behavior that I will accept. This is the standard of professionalism that I will accept. This is the standard of dating that I will accept. Because the thing is, you are intentionally putting the goalposts high, and not everybody will be able to meet you on that level when you do enact boundaries for yourself. But what I will say is you are saving yourself a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's doing the vetting for you when you are intentional around the behavior, the contracts, the friendships that you will accept. And it's lonely sometimes to have these standards or have these boundaries and waiting on someone who will meet us there. Like I said, we have a lot of the cosmos in Aries. We could be feeling impatient. Eclipse season also gives us this now or never mentality where we could want it now, now, now. That wait makes us test our patience, and it also can feel very lonely in the interim. If we were to lower it, we would probably have more of a pool of options, however you feel this, friendship, relationship, job, what have you. But when you set the standard around this is the behavior that I will accept, this is the standard of professionalism I will accept, this is the standard of income that I will accept, those opportunities that are willing to meet you on that level will be high quality and also reflective of your true worth and value. You have to live your value, and it's hard sometimes to know your worth and live your worth. It's a lot easy to settle. And when it comes to eclipse season, there are bigger stories and timelines that are activating. And so it's important to know that when we settle for something that's not quite right, sometimes that can be the universe like testing us, like how badly do you want this, right? Because eclipses is when fated things can come in and out. So it's like if you settle for somebody who's flaking on you 30 minutes before the date on a Friday night to go hang out with their buddies, like if you were to accept that behavior and move forward within that relationship, the universe could be like, oh no, like in 2 weeks time, you're going to meet somebody who's so respectful of your time and you guys are going to start this business together. Like when we settle for less than we deserve, we block our own blessings. And when it comes to eclipse season, the universe is orchestrating and aligning timelines and scenarios and opportunities that we cannot even fathom at this point in time. And within the vibe check, there was this loop around, I've learned this story before. Again, with Mercury, Chiron, there can be old stories that come up around those past relationships and be like, well, this is just how I'm treated. I'm just treated like a second option for a Friday or a Saturday night, right? That can be a loop that exists within it. But with us building to a Libra lunar eclipse on the South Node, it's like, no. This pattern stops now. I'm not going to keep learning the same lesson over and over and over again. My relationships will not change until I do. That's important to keep in mind as the sun is currently in Aries, the sign of self, and of course the lunar eclipse on Monday is in the sign Libra, the sign of others. It's not just about considering other people as evil and toxic, it's also acknowledging the patterns that you bring with you into relationships, the reflections that your connections are illuminating to you about you. It is taking accountability. And so when these old stories come up, it's acknowledging and letting go of, this is not a narrative I want to participate any longer in. What's the point of those past relationships if I do not honor the data? This person is in the audition phase and they are already messing up. Like this is when people are on the best behavior. Like if I'm already seeing this red flag that was exemplified to me within my past relationships, I need to make this tough decision now and here. So we will go so much deeper into this energy, into our day-by-day analysis. I do want to let you know all timestamps are available below. If you do feel called to jump ahead to a particular day or even re-listen to a particular day, you have the option to do that. I do have a tendency to talk quite fast. Please feel free to adjust with the playback speed to speed me up, slow me down, align how it is that I communicate with the way that you process information. And I also want to let you know that I am located on the West Coast of the United States. So that means that I utilize Pacific time zone. So please adjust to your time zone to figure out when exactly these energies are aligning for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into our forecast for Monday, March 18th. So happy Monday, Moon Day, March 18th, and what a moon day it is. So Monday is governed by the luminary, the moon, and we also have the moon transiting its sign of rulership, Cancer, all day long. And this is sort of the Pisces season finale, as tomorrow is when the sun ingresses into the first degree of the zodiac, 0 degrees Aries. This is where it all begins. The new year starts on Tuesday. So Monday is an ending of sorts. Again, there's beginnings and endings in the air with eclipse season. So things get quite interesting this time of year. And when we consider that we are ending out a collective year, you can find that you are feeling much more lethargic or drained or emotional during the last day of Pisces season, the final degree of the zodiac, 29 degrees Pisces. This is a shedding, a purging, a release of sorts. And with so much water in the cosmos, feel free to cry it out, my love. Feel free to cry it out. Again, when that call came through within the vibe check, you said, okay, I gotta go, bye. And you probably cried. Just because this is a week around knowing your worth and setting boundaries around how it is that you will and will not be treated, doesn't mean that you can't grieve and cry. Like, you could probably hang up the phone in that vibe check and sob, right? After you get this news that this individual is choosing to spend time with their friends, when this has been something that has been on your both calendars for nearly a week now. You can still make that decision around, I will not be treated that way, and still grieve and cry and get that out of your system, right? Sometimes when there is a shocking change, before we're able to reach for, okay, this actually could be a blessing because it could be setting me up for this, or this breakup is going to help me moving forward, or this particular job opportunity had to fall through to set me up. Oftentimes before we're able to see the new opportunities that these endings can be creating, we do need to grieve it and cry and just feel like your heartstrings rip as you are sobbing and grieving and letting go, and know that this too is part of the process. You may be crying and not even sure why. Like, where is this coming from? And to that I say, it's the final day of Pisces season. You are shedding and releasing an entire year of experiences, not just yours, but also collectively, collective grief and emotion and disappointment even. And so I would just say, be gentle with yourself if you're noticing, last weekend or today on Monday, that a lot is coming up and things can feel really foggy. We had the Neptune Cazimi yesterday, and as I highlighted, with Neptune aspects, they do tend to bleed. Make sure to check out last week's Magic Monday to get more information on that. But Neptune energy, it tends to morph and bleed into the days following. So you could just be feeling very confused. You could be feeling very murky, very lethargic, very what's the point? Please know that this too shall pass. With tomorrow's sun ingressing into Aries, this brings renewal. And for those in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the beginning of spring. And so while there are certain plants, that didn't survive the winter, there are buds that are just about to break the surface. And before we can really see the new opportunities that are coming in, we need to grieve. We need to cry. And feel free to be as dramatic as you need to about that. My latest thing this Pisces season has just been crying out in the open. For everyone to see me. I don't know why this has been my thing lately, but I've just been walking around these streets or on my hikes just sobbing. So much so that I've actually kind of dialed in the art of crying in public. Now, I always wear a hood to draw less attention to myself. I wear my little sunglasses. I wear my little headphones, and it's just me and the tears. Me and the tears and the music. And honestly, it's quite cathartic, I believe. And especially pairing it with movement, I just feel like it's been nice rather than just staying at home and crying. So cry in public, cry at home, cry in the bath. Not all of us are in that state of like agony or just feeling things very intensely. There might be nice, positive emotions coming up. Just know that everybody has a varying level of eclipse season intensity. And thank goodness for that, because I personally could not deal if every eclipse season was as intense as what is currently aligning for me at the moment. So you may be finding that your emotions are a little bit more manageable, or maybe someone around you might be going through something or having to make a big decision decision or something of that nature. I always say with eclipse season, you know, if you're grounded, if you're feeling good, you may be asked to sort of help ground and support those in your life, within your friendships, within your community, within your workplace, who may have something major happening within their world. So with the energy of the moon in Cancer, ground down within your home environment, allow yourself to do what gives you a sensation of peace and comfort as you navigate these shifts. Of course, like with moon in Cancer, this has to do with familiarity and the past, and there's going to be a tendency to cling to what it is that we know. Even if this person that we're somewhat attached to, right, is not treating us right, we would probably rather cling to that person because we have these inside jokes. Maybe we even have this whole future we've seen with this person. Listen, with all these Pisces placements, we want that. We want what's familiar. We want what felt safe. Sometimes we can cling in towards that. Even if there's something so much more aligned, we can still cling to what it is that we have known before. So there is this energy around like these new timelines, these new transformations emerging, and there's some of us who are like clinging to the old thing, like, no, I don't know, I don't want to change, I don't want something new, I'd rather deal with this, even if it's not serving me in a couple different ways, rather than dare go towards the new. But with the new season beginning, eclipse season beginning, and it's go time, and what's meant to transform during this time will. So on Monday, it might be just really helpful to give yourself those creature comforts or just anything that makes you feel safe and grounded in this interim. Like even little things like just making yourself a little cup of tea, making yourself a little bath, reading a book, putting on a comfort YouTube video or a comfort podcast, whatever little thing that just reminds you, okay, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be safe. Something may shift within my world, but I've got me. I've got this. I can create home wherever it is that I am. And I do want to let you know that March 18th is the final day that we have where Mercury is in a new territory of the sky. And what I mean by that is from March 19th onward, Mercury will revisit this territory of the sky. So if there is anything that you need to do or handle or put some fresh new energy behind, I would recommend doing that on Monday. Again, this is a month about divine timing. This is not a time for rushing, okay? The Aries placements will have you trying to rush. Slow down. Okay, there's a lot of impatience in the cosmos this week. So I'm not saying you need to force or rush. I'm just saying if you've been just holding on to something, like your taxes are all prepared and you haven't like clicked file, or there's like a website edit that you've been wanting to do, or you have to buy a new phone or something where you don't want some Mercury retrograde weirdness infecting it, I would advise handling it on Monday. So to a lunar perspective, okay, I don't mean to scare you. It's not that all of us are gonna be sob and crying all day. I'm just saying, if you do feel more emotional, that is why. But there actually is nice energy on Monday. It's nice productive energy. Okay, so it's not that all of us will be crying out in public with sunglasses and hoods on. That might just be a few of us. I don't know who would possibly be doing a thing like that. But alas, with the energy of the Cancer moon, it trines Saturn a little after midnight, which should start our day at least on a nice kind of productive note, with the moon then going on to sextile Jupiter. Again, really lovely around creature comforts or just allowing those little things that make you feel a little bit more safe. So if you have to like send a scary email, putting on your fuzzy slippers first, right? Or if you need to have a hard conversation with your partner, pouring a cup of tea first, like giving yourself those little bits of comfort that allow you to feel a little bit more supported and anchored. Even if other arenas of your life feel out of control and scary, allowing yourself to control what you can control. And you can control whether or not you have a cup of tea today, or whether or not you walk your dog today. Those little things that just allow you to feel soothed in the interim. And then at 7:29 a.m., the Cancer moon will square Mercury in Aries. So listen, put an exclamation point by this, okay? Yes, this is the final day that we have before Mercury enters its pre-retrograde shadow. But this does not mean to rush or skip steps. You know, Mercury in Aries might be raring to go. You might be wanting to get on to the next thing and just, can this be done? Can this proposal be done? Can these taxes be done? I would still advise to do your due diligence, go slow. Try not to rush it, okay? Especially communications. And especially if there is an email or something that comes in where you get very triggered and you get very emotional and you want to respond right away. Take a beat, breathe, soothe yourself first. Make a cup of tea before you reply to who's he face. Did we give the guy in the vibe check a name? We'll call this person Ed within the vibe check. Before you reply to Ed, taking that moment to take a beat and calm down. because there's nothing wrong with being emotional and being passionate and being fired up, right? Which some of us could be feeling on Monday, right? We're feeling something strong with the Cancer moon, and with the square to Mercury and Aries, we're wanting to say something about it around, no, my boss did not just talk to me that way, or no, this person did not flake on me this way. I'm gonna give them a piece of my mind. But as valuable as I believe our emotions can be, I do believe that when it comes to communicating, it's not always so helpful to do so when you're in a very emotionally incensed state. And so if there is an email that rubs you the wrong way or a text that comes in, take a beat. Try not to reply to it right away. As fired up as you might be, take a beat. Because when we allow ourselves to reply in this very knee-jerk way, sometimes we can be letting the highs of that emotion and the highs of eclipse season, right, initiating, get the better of us. Breathe. And sometimes we have to do that work with Venus aligning with Saturn to intentionally decide how it is that we are going to progress forward. Because if we allow our emotions to get the better of us, we could tell Ed, okay, fine, yep, Saturday works, I just want to see you, Or even curse out Ed, right? Sometimes the best response is just being a little detached or a little professional, or at least having some time for you to really think about and use your words very intentionally. So just a word of caution as it relates to Monday. And the Cancer moon squares Chiron, so there's old stories, there's old insecurities that could be pinging at your heartstrings and your emotions, and even ricocheting within your mind with the building Mercury on Chiron, where there could be stories within you around how you need to settle for this situation, or how you're not good enough, or how your life is always going to be like this. And with the energy of the Cancer moon, like I said, the sun at the anaretic degree, the final degree of Pisces season, it could just feel a little heavy. Like there are parts of, Ed letting you down in this way that, yes, were disappointing for you, the adult version of you, but that also hurts the younger child version of you who maybe was also accustomed to people making promises that they couldn't deliver. And we have to take care of our inner child, right? We have to take those moments to nurture and make them feel safe, right? And protect them. That's why it's important to set your boundaries, that you do not allow your inner child to be continually excited and disappointed. We are clearing out, for some of us, long, dense patterns of operating within connections in this week's astrology. And so feel your feels, feel the crushing weight around this always happens to me. Nurture your inner child around what is coming up. But it's important that later on this week, it does ask you to realize, like, my inner child exists within me, but I have this badass adult who's not going to let people treat me and my inner child like this. Like, I'm just seeing this defensive energy coming in. And this story is going to vary in intensity. For some of you, it could just be as simple as just like not liking somebody's tone in an email and just being kind of like, ouch, or not liking someone's tone IRL and being like, ouch. Like with the energy of Chiron, there's a little bit of an ouch, but with the Cancer moon then going on to sextile Uranus, there's also invitations of new ways of responding to the ouch. But overall, and just very practical advice, I would just say with the energy of Cancer moon, sextile Uranus and Taurus, feel your feels, find new ways to operate and work through them. Listen, if you've never gone for a crying walk, great opportunity to do so, okay? I highly recommend it. My neighborhood might think I'm crazy, but I feel so much better, so whatever. So on Tuesday, March 19th, first and foremost, I just want to wish everybody a happy International Astrology Day. How lucky are we to have this study that just helps make sense of these cosmic cycles that are playing out within our life and understand how they're being reflected within the collective. I feel so grateful to this art of interpretation as it's led me to connect with so many of you. And I love this cosmic community that we've created here and just on different pockets of the internet as well, with all of the astrology lovers. I might be kind of biased, but I just feel like the most inspiring, self-aware, powerful individuals are drawn to astrology, because I believe we can only meet this life as deep as we've met ourselves. And I feel like those who are drawn to astrology aren't afraid to really look at themselves, look at the shadows, look at what's beneath the surface. So I just feel like those drawn to this practice just live very authentically, very fiercely. And I'm continually inspired by the people that I get to connect with through this craft. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for loving this as much as I do. But alas, on Tuesday, we do have the sun entering Aries. It does not do so until nearly the end of the day at 8:06 p.m. Please know that it is coming, okay? Because there is a part we kind of start the day in kind of like sad girl, sad boy energy, but we are remembering who it is that we are. And that's why it's important to just have those times to feel your feelings, to cry on a walk or what have you, and then remember who it is that you are, listening to the music that reminds you of who it is that you are. There's murkiness, like I said, with the Neptune Cazimi, the sun was in the final degree of Pisces, so we could have been kind of merging with other people, and now the sun is entering its exaltation, and the moon enters Leo as well on Tuesday. And so there's just this energy around being able to define I am, and remembering, oh, Ed is just a person. Like, I am still the person that I was before I met this person. I will continue to be the person that I am after this person has departed my universe, because they're bringing in some weird, messy energy that I'm not about. And I think allowing ourselves to really feel all of the feelings, as dramatic as they may be, helps us tap into that energy around, okay, that's out of my system. Let me get back to business, right? Let me get back to business. The cry's out of my system. Let me put on my leather jacket. Let me put my hair in a bun. Let me film Magic Monday. Kind of the vibe. You might not be filming Magic Monday, but you know what I mean. There is that energy taking place on Tuesday, but it is a little bit of a slow build. The morning time, we're still in this watery energy with the Cancer moon trining Neptune. You could definitely just be getting lost in art. You could be getting lost in fantasy, right? That's also part of sometimes the grieving process, is you also have to grieve the fantasies, right? And also there's this energy around grieving the fantasy. Because when you release a friendship, a partnership, a lover, a situationship, whatever it is, when you release that person, you're also releasing all of the fantasies that you've built around this person, all of the different dreams that you thought the two of you were going to achieve together. And that could be hard to feel and to grieve, and to look at Ed and be like, I visualize this whole magical world for us. Why couldn't you just treat me right? Why could you not behave? Why could you not be like the idolized version of yourself? Like, what the heck? You know, Venus is in Pisces, so we're wanting to idealize, we're putting people on pedestals that sometimes they don't even deserve. They don't deserve to be up there. Like, Ed did not deserve for you to craft this whole fantasy reality for the two of you, right? And with Venus Saturn, we're having to get real with other people as well as with ourselves around where people are not living up to their idealized versions of themselves that we have projected within our own heads. And I'm not saying that's a good tendency to do, to build people up to this whole vision, but observe if the connection is completely contingent upon the idealized version. If you are putting up with far too much because you're like, but we could do this in the future, or they could grow into this. Like with Venus Saturn, it's snapping us out of the Venus and Pisces dreamy energy and really making us look at reality, which is tough. Sometimes we do have to shed and grieve that fantasy. More on that building aspect within Thursday's astrology, but it can be a lot to grieve a fantasy of somebody. And like I said, you know, we crave familiarity with the energy of the moon in Cancer. We crave what it is that we know. It's easier to project in the future if we can fill in the details around, you know, this face and these inside jokes and this shared history together. It's easy to project into the future. That's why, you know, like on TikTok and on YouTube, like psychic readings and whatnot, it's always like, you know, your ex is coming back. Like, I feel like that sort of content does better than the new love that is on the horizon. And because we like that element of what is familiar, it makes it easier to project into the future. If you already know this person, you already have a face, a name, a shared history, these inside jokes, it makes it easier and less daunting to look forward into the future. And when somebody's not yet in our field of awareness, it could be hard to kind of fill in those gaps or get excited about what you could potentially build. So just knowing that sometimes all you have in common with somebody is your past that you share with somebody, and that could be something that you are letting go of, potentially with the Libra lunar eclipse. Not all of us are releasing active relationships or partnerships within our life. Some people are releasing, you know, the candle that we have held out for somebody. We are releasing the dreams and the visions that we thought we were going to live with somebody else, and that's something that we're getting out of our system. What could be deeply nurturing is listening to music or reading or writing or allowing yourself to artfully navigate what is moving through. That's something that emotions are so great for, is creating. They're not so good for crafting texts or setting boundaries or making huge decisions, but they are good for creating. So might be nice for that. Then at 12:33 p.m., the moon will enter Leo. So again, there's sparks and tinges around remembering who it is that we are, right? We're slowly and surely getting out of all of this water energy and more is moving into fire. And fire kind of burns things away, right? Whereas water we can absorb and we can internalize. With the energy of fire, it's like, okay, back to business. I felt that. Let's get back to business. Let's burn away all of that and let's get back to business. There's a little bit of that building within the cosmos, but you could be fearing the changes that are coming in, right? With the energy of the Leo moon opposing Pluto, you could be asked to step into your power, and parts of you could be scared to do so, right? You could feel like just a little cub, right? Moon's in Leo, just a little cub when life is asking you to be a lion. It's important to proceed forward embodying the lion version of you, okay? Not accepting the behavior that you used to accept when you were a cub. You're a lion now. And that's going to be scary to step into your fierceness, to step into your roar, but you're a lion now. And that's par for the course when you're a lion. So that's part of what's happening on Tuesday. Just being conscious around ruminations and obsessions. Like with Mercury Chiron, there's some of you who have something your mind just continually is going back to that's painful. It's like every time you go there, it's something painful. It's like a painful memory or something you wish you wouldn't have said or something you wish wouldn't happen. And you're trying not to think about it, but it just keeps going there. An affirmation that I've utilized to help with that when I observe that my mind is going to somewhere that is bringing up pain or even distracting me from what it is that I need to do is I just affirm that it's not a safe space for my brain. I just affirm that's not a safe space for me any longer. That's not a safe space for me any longer. That's not a safe space for me any longer. And it helps if you are kind of in certain obsessive loops or even fear-based loops. Paranoia loops can be part of this energy with Moon opposite Pluto. It's important to give yourself things that you are focusing on or feeding your mind that are helpful, that are healing. Get sucked into something else beyond this rumination, okay? Just affirm, that's not a safe space for me any longer. So let's focus on this audiobook, like in those moments around, that's not a safe space any longer, but this audiobook is. Let me get lost within this audiobook rather than ruminating on this situation and analyzing it 20 different ways around what would have happened if I would have said this, or what would have happened if this would have happened. What happened, happened. It's in the past. All we can do is look forward. And eclipse season is making that quite apparent, right? With the changes that are currently afoot. And so with Mercury Chiron, this may be an important week to just feed yourself helpful, supportive information, voices, books. It's not running from the emotions to distract yourself. Your brain really can't figure too much out. Like, I'm not talking crap about your brain particularly. I'm just saying our brains cannot figure out how that situation could have gone differently or predict how exactly this person is going to behave or predict how exactly the future is going to work out. Our brain can only do so much, okay? And if you're just noticing you're in these like obsessive ruminating loops and you've felt and processed your emotions, but you still can't stop thinking about it, it's time to feed your brain some helpful information, some helpful voices to at least just give your brain some new brain food rather than think about the same situation from 20 different angles, okay? And then the sun enters Aries at 8:06 p.m. and I want to take this opportunity to wish all of my Rams a very happy birthday season. Aries, we adore you for your authenticity, for your devotion to stand fiercely and firmly within your own divine light, for empowering us to have courage even when we are doubting ourselves, for sticking up for us. I swear, my Aries friends always get so fired up on my behalf and I love them for it. For keeping this energy of fun and adventure and excitement about new beginnings alive within the cosmos. We adore you. I hope that you have such a wonderful birthday season, and all of us, as I said, with the sun entering exaltation, we're reminding ourselves who it is that we are. And who it is that you are isn't just who it is that you used to be. It's also the expanse of all that you are. And stepping into that version, reminding yourself of that. Because we do not become who it is that we are meant to be unless we start thinking more like that person and less as the past versions of ourselves. Like, what's gotten you here won't be what gets you there. And so with the energy of sun in Aries, it's both feeling into your own authenticity, but also the powerful new timelines, the powerful new sides of yourself that you are stepping into. So on Wednesday, the 20th, this is the day that Mercury officially conjoins with Chiron. So this energy is the most apparent to us. And with Mercury Chiron, like I said, there can be loops that are playing in your brain, which PS, because Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow phase officially now, this may need to be reviewed. Okay, so definitely observe the old patterns, old tendencies, old wounds, old inadequacies that are surfacing, because it may be a focal point for the forthcoming Mercury retrograde. So just something important to stay aware of. That's why I love journaling, just so we can see all of these cosmic cycles and how they're playing out. But other than that, with Mercury Chiron, there could be some words that wound today. And some of those can be coming from within, or maybe other people. Somebody's being a little honest with you, and it's a little bit of an ouch, right? With Mercury and Aries, there is a very direct, immediate way to our communication currently, and we may observe that others or ourselves are not very sensitive in the communications that are coming through. It's very raw, it's very urgent. And with Mercury Chiron, there can be somebody who's very honest with you, and it's a little bit of an ouch, right? Like Mercury's in a fire sign, and fire can burn, right? And oftentimes when it comes to fire energy, it's very expressive. And with Mercury and Aries, it is very authentic. So there's definitely truth in what is coming out. Again, it may not be delivered as sensitively as you would want it to, but continue to rest in the knowledge that truth does set you free. Like, you could hear your heart breaking as Ed told you, like, oh, and my friends are hanging out, so I think I'm gonna go out with them instead of, going to dinner with you. You could hear your heart breaking. Like, words can break our heart, especially when we consider, oh, that's how you feel. That's how you feel. And as hurtful as these things can feel to hear from others, it's important to know that it does set us free when people are honest with us. It doesn't do us any good to keep ourselves suspended in murkiness and confusion and a lack of clarity. With Mercury Chiron, there's truth that's coming out. It might hurt to receive, but that makes you look at, wow, this individual is really choosing their friends over me and didn't bother to tell me until 30 minutes before when I'm all ready. Now, with Mercury Chiron, you could also just be in this energy around being looped in these ruminating thought patterns or these wounds within you around, of course this would happen to me. This always happens to me. Is it ever going to change? Am I always going to have to settle for less than I deserve? This would be a very powerful day to journal, okay? With Mercury Chiron, try not to unleash what it is that you're feeling to people's faces, okay? Leave it for the journal. You could be as raw and as vulgar and as crude and as mean as you want to in the pages. And I feel like it's gonna help you find some clarity around what's coming through. Plus, you could stay tuned with how the Mercury retrograde is unfolding within your life, staying tuned with what's coming up within your journal. But with Mercury Chiron, like allowing yourself to process, I would just be conscious around not unleashing to others. Like I said, our communication could be not very sensitive. It could even be, defensive or very reactive. And also Mercury's in its pre-retrograde shadow. So what is revealed now, you may need to revisit in some way, and it could be quite painful to do so. So just some themes to look out for. With Mercury Chiron would be a great day to absorb some healing materials. And what I mean by that, if there is something that you are moving through that is challenging, just know that there is wealth of information out there that you can find that will help you understand it more so. Sometimes understanding what you're going through can be helpful for the healing process, or learning about what it is that you're going through can be helpful for the healing process. For example, if you're moving through a challenging transit, sometimes it can be quite helpful in healing to learn about the intricacies of that transit, to make sense of what's happening in your life overall. It doesn't take away the pain, but it helps you understand it. And when we consider transits, to honor when something is reflecting in our life via transit, it equally honors this is a transit, which means it too will pass. As well as if somebody's moving through a breakup or grief or something of that nature, it may be helpful to learn about the brain. Like, learn about the brain on grief. Learn about the brain on breakups. Like, it helps you make sense of your behavior and what it is that you are moving through, which creates the portal forward to healing, as well as it keeps your mind busy so you're not tempted to, text that person again or anything of that nature. Keep your mind busy with healing material that helps you make sense of what it is that you're currently moving through. And on Wednesday, the only aspect is that the Leo moon will square Jupiter at 6:35 p.m. So you definitely could be feeling a little lazy. You could be feeling a little indulgent. Right now we have the Aries sun, the Leo moon, and you could just be tapped into your regality, right? And just be like, I just do not even want to work today. Like, I am royalty. The moon is in Leo. I'm feeling myself. I do not want to work right now. I want to walk. I want to enjoy. I want to listen to these healing podcasts. You could just notice you're feeling a little bit more procrastinating, a little bit more indulgent. patient, a little bit slower to take action, a little bit more luxuriating rather than hustling. On Thursday, March 21st. So firstly, I want to let you know that the Aries sun sextiles Pluto in Aquarius, which, like I said, the sun is an exaltation. We're reminding ourselves who we are. We're getting that fire back, right? And with the sextile to Pluto, we are also not just remembering who it is that we are, but who it is that we are evolving and transforming into. And sometimes you got to fake it until you feel it. Sometimes you got to reply to Ed like you are the confident person who knows their worth, even if inwardly you're sad and you wish it would have worked out. Sometimes you just have to step into that energy around, this is not behavior I tolerate. I'm no longer interested. Thank you. And that could be scary to do. It could be scary to have courage to assert yourself. And it could be scary to know your worth, especially with Venus, Saturn. There could be stories within you of scarcity, not feeling beautiful enough, not feeling abundant enough, not feeling loved enough. And with Sun sextile Pluto, it's just stepping into our power until we feel it and getting that fire back. It is a step up in the vibrational scale to get angry. So if there has been an injustice that has been done to you or someone has done you shady, like yes, cry about it, be sad, but eventually reach for anger. That is actually a step up the ladder. Get mad about it, right? Step into your sacred rage. That can support you in moving forward. Again, not taking revenge necessarily, but getting fired up to continue evolving on your journey, right? Being like, whatever, Ed, I'm not going out with you tomorrow. And instead spending that day working on your business and working out and doing things that are going to better improve yourself and your life. Sometimes you need that fire lit under your butt, right? When situations get challenging or someone has mistreated you, to be able to step into your own courage, your own strength, and to claim the transformation, the evolution that is taking place. This is the day that Venus conjoins Saturn, and that can be hard to do, to believe the person you are evolving into when not only are there these stories around I'm not good enough because we still have Mercury Chiron separating in the sky, and then also with Venus on Saturn, we could be feeling this not enough energy. If I let go of this option, who else am I going to date? If I say no to this contract because they are grossly underpaying me, what if this is all that I can get? I'm not that attractive or pretty, so maybe this is just how people treat people who are not attractive or pretty. Like there could be this energy of scarcity that you are feeling, and it's important to highlight also with Venus, yes, it's money, beauty, pleasure, and all of those can be going through this Saturn streamlining process or scarcity process, but also Venus is pleasure. And so with Venus on Saturn, you may not feel particularly dialed into the pleasures of life. Like you could just feel like there's not enough time to sit down and enjoy the roses and listen to the piano from your neighbors down the hallway. Like with Venus Saturn, you could feel like life is a little meh right now with Venus Saturn, which again, it's important to remind yourself this too shall pass, this too shall pass. And with this combination, Sun sextile Pluto, Venus conjoining Saturn, we really are stepping into being the boss of our own lives. For those of you who work for yourself, if there have been certain shifts that you've been wanting to make within your business, there's something that's exciting you, activating you, but there's fears around it. What if I lose my customer base? This energy is asking you to think very strategically around where it is that you want to go. I always tell my self-employed clients this when I work one-on-one with them, but I'm like, you are the life force of this creation. You are the heartbeat of this creation. You are what runs this creation, and you have to decide where it is that it goes. And sometimes you have to get real with yourself and make tough decisions around where it is that you want to drive this ship of your own creation, of your podcast, of your e-commerce brand, whatever it is. Sometimes you have to make the hard decisions. And with Venus Saturn, sometimes that involves letting people down or going through a temporary pay cut in order to build a leg of the business that you are more so passionate about, or is a smarter usage of your time and energy. Because with Venus Saturn, we're thinking very critically about our dollars, okay? With Venus Saturn, like I said, some of us could be feeling this around scarcity, but some of us can just be feeling like, where is my money going and how can I utilize it intentionally to build what it is that I want and to behoove me and benefit me moving into the future with this energy of Saturn. Saturn favors time-honored decisions, particularly financially and romantically. And sometimes making decisions that will benefit you within the future suck to make in the present. right? Like sometimes it sucks to have to deny yourself certain pleasures or things that you want to buy in order to invest in something that you will know will pay off. Sometimes it sucks to have to cut things off with someone that you are dating because you know that this is not someone that you're going to want to be with in your long term. Like with Venus Saturn, we really are gaining a lot of clarity around Venusian matters. Even though Venus is gathered by Saturn, Venus is an exaltation. So we are gaining clarity around money in our lives, around love in our lives, even around beauty within our lives, pleasure within our lives. And we're wanting to think strategically, like the boss of our own lives. Even if you are not self-employed, this energy is really asking you to be strategic with your time and energy and make budget cuts as you see fit, right? If there has been something that you've been investing in, whether it's money-wise or energy-wise, that you are not getting the ROI, you are not getting the return on investment, Saturn energy is asking you to potentially redistribute or put more energy in something that will behoove you in the future. Again, not just who it is that you are now, but who it is that you are evolving into with Sun sextile Pluto. So those can be some themes that you are feeling on Thursday. In the morning time, I'm talking so early that for many of us, it's like evening time. It happens around like 1 and 3 a.m. PDT. The Leo moon will trine Chiron in Aries. It'll trine Mercury in Aries. So there can be clarity that we are beginning to find and arrive to. And there is an energy around being your own best hype man, hype woman, right? You have to do that in order to get to where it is that you are going. Like I said, what has gotten you here won't be what gets you there. The scripts that play in your head, the behavior that you accepted from people in your life, the strategies that you've taken this far within your business may have gotten you here, but they won't be what gets you there to the next step if you are feeling that crave or that calling for transformation. And like I said, with Venus Saturn, having high standards sometimes can be quite lonely, and you have to learn how to be your own cheerleader in that interim. You have to learn how to pep talk yourself, self-soothe earlier in the week, right, with all that water energy. But now with all the fire, you have to learn how to pep talk yourself or to have the strategy that gets you into that more passionate, goal-oriented energy around moving fiercely in the direction of what it is that you know that you deserve. Even if you have moments with Venus Saturn around, is this what I deserve? Should I just take what it is that I can get? Because yes, Saturn is restriction, but I also am just feeling this energy with Saturn being responsibility and just working this muscle of seeing our value clearly and standing by it. There are so many people who do not see their own value, and there's so many people who benefit off of you when you do not see your own value. There have been so many readers that I've gone to that I am like, you need to charge more. Like, are you kidding me? Like, after getting a reading from them, I'm like, you need to be charging way more, because they don't see it. They don't see the value that they provide. And so me as a customer, obviously it behooved me to be spending less, but I always feel like it's my duty to tell people, you need to be charging more. You put so much energy into this. Oh my goodness, so many people do not see their own value clearly, and that can show up within your business. It can also show up romantically, right? Settling for somebody because you feel like that's what you deserve. You feel like that's what you are worth. That person benefits from you feeling that way and not seeing your own value. You have to be able to generate it from within. There are too many people out in this world, not to get jaded, but there are too many people or companies that will benefit when you do not see your own value. It has to be sourced from within first. You have to be able to hype yourself up. Now, I'm not saying like start charging, $3,000 for a reading. I'm just saying know your worth, okay? And maybe even add tax with the energy of Saturn, because other people will be all too quick to rush in and allow you to accept less than you deserve. So it needs to come from within. Now, to a very practical level, on Tuesday, the Leo moon squares Uranus. So there are gonna be random events that happen on Thursday. You thought the workday was gonna go like this, and then Wi-Fi was down. Keep in mind, Mercury's now in its pre-retrograde shadow. Technology can start to get a little wild, okay? Or just unexpected news, unexpected weather. Your emotions can be randomly very volatile. And it's important, especially with the Leo moon opposing Mars, who's at the aneretic degree, because Mars does enter Pisces the following day. You can be more reactive okay? Like I said, your passion is powerful, your emotions are powerful, but sometimes you have to take that beat and get yourself in a less incensed state before you strategically move forward. Eclipse season imbues us all with this feeling of now or never. Nothing can happen fast enough. We could be feeling more frenetic, and we're not seeing life clearly at the moment. I don't want anyone to listen to this forecast or any of my eclipse content and feel like they need to quit their job or they need to have a breakup. The universe will show you what needs to change if something needs to change, okay, within your world. This is not the time to make sudden impulse decisions. You will see when the universe is eclipsing you, which is basically when the decision is being made for you. You see that there's no other way of proceeding forward. You will know. Okay, when you know, you know. But if you just randomly get an urge, I'm not saying to follow that, especially on Thursday, okay? With Mars at the indirect degree and the Leo moon squaring Uranus and opposing Mars. You could be feeling more fired up, okay? You could be feeling more angry. You could be feeling more reactive. And so it's just important to ground down, ground down, ground down. Try not to let pride get the better of you. Okay, potential downside of the Leo moon. And just know that the moon will be void at 11:34 that evening. So on Friday, March 22nd, I want to let you know that the lunar eclipse lands on Monday at midnight PDT on Sunday night, Monday. So I just want you to know going into this weekend that the full moon feels could be a rushing in, okay? And you could just be feeling this more frenzied, frenetic vibe, just on the highway at the source, just people could be a little bonkers, okay? You could feel like the world has gone a little bonkers. So it might just be a helpful weekend to take care of yourself, maybe keep it low key. I'm not an advocate for living in fear. I still live my life. I'll travel during Mercury retrograde. I went to a wedding on an eclipse. Like, live your life, okay? I'm never saying with the astrology to not live your life. I'm just saying with eclipse season, the outside world tends to be a lot. Within ancient astrology, eclipses used to be considered a time that individuals would not even go outside, okay? And I'm not saying you don't need to go outside, but I'm just saying if you're debating, should I go to this huge party where I don't know anybody? I would just say, you know, it might be a little much, okay? That's what I will say. And maybe consider spending your time a different way. That's all I'm saying. But on Friday, just know that we are building and building to that full moon. Now, the other shift on Friday is that Mars enters Pisces. So Mars has been hanging out the indirect degree. Mars has been in Aquarius, which certainly had its faults, right? It's a little stubborn, maybe it was a little reactive, being at the 29th degree, but at least it was some air in the cosmos. Now we are just rocking with what we consider the inner planets, fire and water. And you know what you get when you combine fire and water? Steam. It's a very steamy, passionate vibe. So again, moving into eclipse season, we're feeling things intensely. We can be more reactive. Air is our ability to detach and view things objectively, and we're losing that. Mars is going from Aquarius into Pisces, which definitely has its gifts, okay? But I'm just saying, working that muscle of air energy can be helpful. So air and earth are the elements we don't have much of. And so when it comes to working with elemental balances, it's just important to honor when the cosmos or your natal chart doesn't have a certain element to balance it within your world. So it's talking about earth, make sure that you're eating lots of food, make sure that you are going for walks, spending time in nature. And then air, make sure that you are journaling, having conversations, thinking through things objectively. Those will be important muscles to work just to balance all of this heat and fluid within the cosmos with all the fire and water. But the gift of Mars and Pisces is this, is that we can really take action intuitively. Like I said, there's no need to rush. Everything is playing out as it's meant to. And with Mars and Pisces, we're more open to take action from that divine knowing. Like you're more able to advocate for yourself and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to be treated better, but I have a feeling I will. So I'm going to advocate for myself in this ed situation because I feel like the universe has something better in store for me. Or even just like following the breadcrumbs around, you know, this door within my life is being slammed shut. There's a major change. There's a major change that feels like it's being made for me. And with Mars and Pisces, it's like following the breadcrumbs. What if this was intricately designed? What if the universe is using this as a portal to get me to what is truly aligned? It's hard with Mars and Pisces to trust when we don't see it materially, when we just feel it. But with Mars and Pisces, the more we can connect to our soul space, our intuitive space, and see that things are playing out that have a bigger story, the more we can be guided to take action when the time is right. So that is a story that will continue to unfold within the cosmos, but just expect that the Pisces territory of your chart can be fired up, okay, with Mars entering there, maybe a little bit more conflict or a little bit more of a kick in the butt to get the affairs of the Pisces territory of your chart under control. And you can also find sign with Mars in Pisces, you are more so able to act on the intuitive knowings and having faith within the bigger picture and continuing to march forward with that faith. Even if it's not materialized, you don't know if you're gonna have another option after Ed. You will, okay? And you feel that deep down, but you're taking action, stepping into the version of you who knows that and knows that your purpose is bigger than somebody who would flake on you 30 minutes before, okay? And while that step can be hard to just trust in something that you do not see, it's important with eclipses and to just know how supported and guided you are and that there's so much playing out that you cannot see at this moment. So outside of that shift that happens at 4:47 p.m., the moon enters Virgo after midnight, so at 12:42 a.m. So we have a Virgo moon all day. So this can be nice to find comfort through order. So earlier in the week with the moon in Cancer, we were finding comfort through comfort, right? The fuzzy slippers, the tea, the bath. With moon in Virgo, you might feel like there's aspects of your life that are like this. To be quite honest with you, this is how my life looks like right now. Just picture that with a camera and a ring light in front, okay? But same picture. Okay, so if you're also there with the energy of the moon in Virgo being like, well, everything kind of feels crazy right now, but what else am I gonna do besides go to my little exercise classes and wash my little dishes and water my little plants? Like handling the little tasks, even if big arenas of your life feel out of your control, you can find comfort in that and solace in that via handling the small tasks. On Saturday, March 23rd, you might be saying, Haley Comet, this week has been a lot, okay? Hit me with some good news. I will say there is some good energy coming our way during the weekend. Now, we have this building full moon eclipse, so things could definitely feel intense for a lot of individuals, but what I will say is that the changes that could have felt very crushing and limiting at other points of the week, you're starting to see the silver lining, or you're starting to get to that space in which you are seeing opportunities again. Like this would be, a couple weeks after the Ed situation, right? And you're ignoring him and you're over it, and then with the Venus sextile Jupiter, you meet someone new. And whether it works with this person or not, that's really not the purpose. Yes, with Venus sextile Jupiter, we could be feeling like we have options, okay? We got options. That's why we got to know our worth, okay? But it's beyond that. It's beyond just meeting someone new. It's really having proved to yourself that you are strong, that you will not allow that sort of behavior, and that's hard. Especially when you care deeply. You were smiling in the middle of the day. You were rereading the text. You were in it. And you still were able to step out of it and still know your worth, even when so much of you just wanted to run right to Ed the following day when it did work with this person's schedule, right? That's hard to do. And when you work that muscle, when you stand in your strength like that, it's hard, it sucks. You go through a grieving process, you go through what if, but then you are aware of, yeah, that's not behavior that I'll tolerate any longer. And it gets easier the next time you have to assert that boundary or the next. Have I told you guys the kimchi story? This was a long time ago. I remember I was dating this guy. Everything was going great up to that point. And then we had this date scheduled, and I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes after he was meant to pick me up. Like I'm talking purse around my shoulder, waiting in the living room, like I was ready to go. This man tells me that he got food poisoning from kimchi and that he will no longer be able to make it. And listen, maybe I'm being rude. Maybe he did have food poisoning. Can you even get food poisoning from kimchi? I never even looked it up. I literally saw that text and I was just no longer interested. And it was like up to that point, I was down, I was vibing. But I got that text and I was like, ugh. I'm just not interested. I just feel like dating is an audition phase. And if you're already dropping the ball that hard during the audition phase, I just feel like that behavior is not likely to change if I do enter a relationship with you. Like I'm not signing up for a lifetime in which I am waiting in my living room with my purse on my shoulder because A, you're late, and B, now you're not coming. Because even if the man had food poisoning, he could have told me before. That was what I found so disrespectful. And that's why I was like, nope, I'm done. I'm good. And I remember the next day, I was teaching yoga at the time, and the next day, after I got out my yoga class, there's like this gift bag on the front desk where all the teachers are, and he got me like, I think it was like 5 or 6 pairs of Lululemon leggings, which are pricey. It was from him as like an apology for the kimchi situation, and maybe part of me was tempted to just be like, okay, whatever, bad kimchi, it happens, but I was just like, this is setting a dangerous precedent. Like, I don't want to enter into a relationship in which this person feels like they can buy my forgiveness, or that it's okay to be disrespectful of my time so long as you buy me expensive yoga leggings. Like, I'm uninterested. My time is worth more. And I don't say that from like a egotistical standpoint. It's just at this point in time, I was self-employed. So it's like, if I would have had that night, I could have filmed a YouTube video. I could have met with clients. I could have done so much with my time that would have, earned me money, had impact, maybe been something that I enjoyed to do. But instead, I wasted my time on you, and I'm never gonna get that back. And that's more priceless than these stupid leggings. So sometimes you just gotta stand in your worth and just set a new precedent around what it is that you will not tolerate, what it is that you will not continue onward with, because you guys know, if you watch Magic Monday, I've shared so many dating stories in which I am down astronomically bad. That has not always been my mentality. It's just be like, first red flag. But it's like, I've learned from those experiences. I know what it feels like to be writing poetry in the Notes app at the concert because someone blew me off. I've been abandoned in Los Angeles. I have given second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth chances to people who were horrible to me. Like, this is not behavior that has always been innate to me, but it's like I've learned from those experiences. I know what that feels like, and I know how to spot those red flags of behavior that I don't want to put up with any longer, and I cut it off early because I'm just not interested in going down that path any longer. I'm no longer interested in undervaluing myself like that. And it's interesting because yes, raising your standards, you do put it out of the way for a lot of people to reach, but the people who do reach those standards are higher caliber, they see your worth, they see your value, and it saves you a lot of heartache. Like Venus, Saturn, especially Venus in exaltation, is sort of like this nudge to protect your heart, right? And it's beautiful to care deeply and to empathize with other individuals, but with the energy of Saturn, you have to enact boundaries. You have to set limits to your love. You have to be firm about what it is that you will withstand from those that you love. Your heart is too precious of a thing not to do that. And the reason I'm talking about this on Saturday is because at 2:17 and around 6 a.m. respectively, the moon will oppose Saturn, and then the moon will oppose Venus. So again, it's activating that Venus-Saturn story around the standards that we are maintaining, the limits that we are setting, the boundaries that we are enacting, which is hard. And sometimes it could be lonely, right? But it's Aries season, okay? You are the captain of your ship. You are the driver of your universe. You were fine before this person. You will be fine after. And I want to be clear, we are here to connect. Connection is beautiful. I'm not saying cut everybody off. You will know. If there's someone that needs to be cut off, you will probably know around this Libra lunar eclipse. But it's really just ensuring that you are vetting the people within your universe that are high quality and that are going to pour into you as you pour into them, that it does feel balanced is really the ask. And that could be hard sometimes. And the Virgo moon opposing Venus and Saturn is emphasizing that. But then the Virgo moon goes on to trine Jupiter, trine Uranus, which indicates that sometimes these hard decisions pave the way for our growth to move towards things that are more aligned and are more expansive. And on Saturday, what I would say is a great day to clean, okay? Virgo moons are great for that. Clean out your fridge, okay? Meal prep, garden, do something good for yourself, especially if there's a situation that's got your mind all out of whack and you're just like ruminating. Like, do something that will improve your life. Even if you don't feel like it, taking that step to clean out your closet or garden a little bit or read a book, you are at least signaling to yourself, hey, you are somebody worthy of taking care of, even if you don't feel it. Sometimes you gotta fake it until you feel it, okay? So meal prep, work out, clean your house, do something that tomorrow you will thank you for, okay? Even if you're feeling a little low, okay, with the Virgo moon opposing Venus and Saturn, you're not feeling beautiful, you're not feeling lovable, you're not feeling loved, you're having to make hard decisions in love. Even the Virgo moon can be very critical and nitpicky of you, but still invest in your environment, invest in your well-being on every level, physical, emotional, spiritual. You will feel the positive momentum that comes from making those decisions. On Sunday, March 24th, the Virgo moon will be void at 8:49 a.m. Closing aspect is in opposition to Neptune, so this can be a dreamy Sunday morning. Make some pancakes, play some records, and clean your house. Get lost on a hike, go to church, do something that connects you to the bigger picture. Faith is an important muscle to work during eclipse season because it is a time sometimes we have to have faith that what feels messy and confusing and chaotic during this time will make sense with time, will make sense within the puzzle pieces of our lives. And if you need proof to believe this, just think of a scenario that came up within your life of something that felt really horrible at the time, felt like a door being shut, an ending that felt earth-shattering at the moment. But now looking back, you realize, gosh, that was such a blessing. That was setting me up for something so much more aligned, or gosh, I'm so glad that happened, or else this would have happened. Like, sometimes it's important to work that muscle of faith around, right now it's giving chaotic, it's giving messy, it's giving horrible, but I have to work that muscle around trusting that there's got to be a reason, or that I am held by something bigger than myself, or that there is more than just what is physically in front of me. It's an important muscle to work, especially with eclipse season. So Sunday morning may be a nice time to give towards that. And like I said, with Venus sextile Jupiter, this is a soft flow of energy, so definitely the Venus on Saturn, you may feel stronger, but with Venus sextile Jupiter, it's starting to see options, right? Whether it's options in love, options in money, options in beauty, options in pleasure. We're starting to see potential and opportunities and possibilities, and that can be powerful to shift yourself out of a mind state of scarcity and lack and into one of abundance on many different levels. And with Venus sextile Jupiter, it may be nice to do something that is pleasurable and enjoyable and reminds you that this life is filled with love, because you are filled with love, right? Because that's the emphasis of this energy of being very prudent about your standards and your expectations, is because you know what you put into it. Like, you know how much emphasis you put on this date. You know how many opportunities you said no to in order to give your precious Friday night to the suitor, okay? Like with Venus sextile Jupiter, it's appreciating that you are full of love and you deserve people who will share the same in return. Like the Libra lunar eclipse, again, reminder, I do have a lunar eclipse in Libra, all signs forecast, make sure to check it out after this Magic Monday, of course, but it's a lot about balance, and it's a lot about releasing things from our life that are not balanced. So it's this energy around, I know what I have to give. I know the value that I have, and I'm going to stand within that firmly because I know that I provide what I require, is sort of the energy. The void moon ends at 1:37 p.m. when the moon enters Libra, going on to trine Pluto. So this is the sign of the full moon. So the full moon is building, the fields are building. There's a spotlight on connections and relationships, and which connections add to and regenerate our power, and which connections drain our power away. So maybe a pivotal time to just observe what epiphanies are coming up within your universe. And my love, that is our week. So the Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I know my worth and I enforce my worth. It is not enough to just have boundaries or expectations. You also need to live them out. You also need to enact them. And again, behind the scenes, it might be a totally different story, right? You might be going on crying walks yourself. Okay, it could be a different story, but in front of this situation, you are enforcing your worth, and they don't need to see all that. You can have moments of doubting your worth and being like, should I just settle? But it's important, even in those moments, to work that muscle around knowing your worth and enforcing it, even in those moments of self-doubt that are sure to emerge with Mercury and Chiron and Venus and Saturn. There's going to be some bumps in the road when you can start to question yourself and question your worth and what it is that you deserve, which is why it's important to really step into that persona or that version of yourself that will enforce them, even if behind the scenes you're a little scared and a little unsure. Sometimes it's helpful to have a persona or what have you to embody. I feel like it helps me so much with just being able to compartmentalize when life gets a little crazy and a little emotional, to have the persona of Haley Comet to step into. I want to be so clear. Haley Comet is me. I would talk to you the same way if we were IRL. In fact, I've met a lot of you in person and I think you would affirm I'm the same in real life. So it's not that it's a fake persona, but what I will say is when Haley's life is a little messy and a little chaotic, it helps me to just fully embody Haley Comet and just stay very busy and just stay very present. Be like, all right, Haley's stuff we're going to deal with over there. Let's step into Haley Comet. So even if Haley is unsure and doubting and questioning her worth, Haley Comet can step in to still enforce it, right? And be the protector. So might be a great week for a persona, okay? I'm personally a fan. And if you have a persona, comment below. What's your persona's name? So my loves, if you made it to the end of the forecast, go ahead and comment below the sunglasses emoji. If you know, you know. If there was a kimchi emoji, I would maybe do a kimchi emoji. But if you don't have emojis or you're joining from computer or you just like playing the little game, use the word sunglasses within a sentence to let me know that you made it to the end. My loves, I am so grateful to be sharing the Cosmic Corner with you all. If you watch regularly, could you let me know, did you notice a difference in terms of this forecast in the way that it was delivered? Did it affect your quality of listening? You could be blunt, okay, with Mercury Chiron. The reason I'm asking is because I spend so much time on these Magic Mondays and it's a labor of love. I love it. But sometimes I film for like 4 or 5 hours and then it takes, double that to edit it down because I'm, a perfectionist and I like it in a certain way. So I'll repeat myself. I'll stop for the planes. Today, just because of everything being a little hectic, I just tried to flow as freely as I could and it felt good. But let me know if it affected your Magic Monday experience. Let me know and I can go back to how I typically do it. But today felt good on my end. I was just trying to make it as free-flowing and organic as possible. So let me know how that felt on your end. But until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.